Yo, still bills, what's the deal, man? We back, man. Man, I'm letting the car warm up. It is freezing out here. It's only 16 degrees, man. I didn't think it was gonna be this cold, but it is this cold, man. But we had a nice little card yesterday. It was pretty, it was a dope card. I gotta be real, man. The fight that I really was excited to see didn't go down because Richardson Hitchens pulled out. And I'm really disappointed in that fight. I think it's time. Richardson Hitchens is really just doing I don't know, man. When you get in the habit of being a buster and doing sucker shit, it just seems like a snowball effect. Eventually, you're just gonna do too much when you fall out of favor with niggas. You're just gonna do too much to the point where niggas is just like, man, I just can't get jiggy with this dude. And that is, I think, the path that Richardson Hitchens is on, man. So, but that ain't what I want to talk about. The first fight I want to talk about is Andy Hiroka versus Gary Antoine Russell. So, Pete gang, man, listen. I did not expect to see what I saw from Andy Hiroka. I didn't expect him to fight like that, man. He spent the majority of not even the majority. He spent the entire first half of the fight working off of his jab, using his height to his advantage. Gary Antoine Russell occasionally getting in, being able to close distance and pin him to the rope. And just around about the 5th and the 6th round, he started doing it frequently enough to where I think Andy Hiroka was like, all right, bro, I got to take a stand now. So, could you give Andy Hiroka one or two of them early rounds? I think you could, just on him being able to, just his own ring generalship alone, him working behind those straight shots. And really just forcing Gary Antoine to labor to find a way to close the gap. I like it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think, it just, those early rounds wasn't as, it was just the most small and minute, moment and situation that was going to dictate who won the round or not, man. You could say Andy Hiroka won a couple of those rounds, but you can give it to Gary Antoine Russell because the clean shot that did land maybe have been the quick catch and shoot jab that he was throwing, or just his shoe shining and just him pinning Andy Hiroka to the ropes and shoe shining and just, for that small instance and getting back out. But it wasn't until the 7th round where you start to really see. I think the rounds that were dominant rounds were all won by Andy Hiroka. That dude was digging to the body, and I did not expect that. I did not expect that at all. I've never seen that from him, man. I thought, like I said in my prediction video, I thought that Alberto Puello was a better, I think he fights a little bit better in the pocket. Both of them have because their limbs are so long, when you're in front of a smaller dude, it's looking like, the shots ain't coming, the hooks ain't coming off of the chin. They coming from way out here, you know what I'm saying, to land the shot. Like, you got to change the trajectory of your shot to pinpoint where it is that you want to go. But the thing was, he wasn't hooking like that, bro. He was not upstairs. He was hooking to the body and uppercutting to the body and digging to the body. Like, I'm talking hitting this man. Like, I'm like, where the fuck did this shit come from? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Gary Antoine Russell was pissing blood today. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all with the amount of body work he was doing. And he wasn't scared to mix it up. Like, early on, he did kind of look like a deer in the headlights, just a little bit, like, because he knows, I ain't never fought nobody of this magnitude before, so let me pump my brakes a little bit. Let me stay out here. Let me feel him out a little bit, gauge him a little bit. It may take a little bit longer for me to get the information I need for me to get comfortable in here. And, let me gauge his power. Let me see what his, let me see what his snap on his punches is like. But, it was just like, when he did that, and, it was just like a mindfuck, because I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? He didn't throw not one body punch in the first half of the fight. To my recollection, it was all the jab and an occasional long, fat backhand. It was a lot of wind up under that backhand. I'm like, you're not gonna hit him with that, dog. You're not gonna hit him with that. Start up jabbing, double up on the jab, double up, hook off the jab. You know what I'm saying? Start doing shit like that. And he didn't do none of that. He just went to the body and started. I'm like, oh my fucking God. I did not expect that, man. And Gary Antoine Russell started looking a little bit flustered in there, man. And even with, Andy Hiroka even kind of started, I don't know if I want to call it flustered. I think with him, I don't think he was ever flustered in the fight. But I do think he was trying to get a little bit more creative and try shit new and different. That's normally not a part of his repertoire. And he was tripping over his feet. He was lunging because I don't know. He was just trying to get a little bit more creative and dynamic in his offense. And it looked real awkward. So I don't know if it was due to him being flustered, but he did start lunging a lot and finding himself off balance, trying for new shots. Gary Antoine Russell did seem to look a little flustered because he's significantly shorter than Andy Hiroka. I don't know what the fuck the niggas is talking about. That nigga 5'10". That nigga's not 5'10". Fuck out of here, bro. He barely taller than Gary. Gary ain't close to being 5'10". Fuck out of here. But I was just watching this fight and I'm like, yo, this is like, I didn't really, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't really have a good gauge again. I don't think the world of Gary Antoine Russell. I do think he's a good fighter, but I don't think the world of Gary Antoine Russell, Brody. Like, he's not big. He's not Gary Russell. He's not Gary Russell Jr. I didn't like the corner work from Gary Russell, honestly, neither though, man. I didn't like, he don't want to be on the inside with you. He don't want to be on the inside with you. Then why is he throwing 30 and 40 punches to the body? Planting his feet, digging to the body, backing Gary Antoine Russell up, and completely depleting his work rate in spurts. Why is he countering to the body? Why is he doing all this body work if he don't want to be in the pocket with you, dog? I didn't like that aspect of the corner work, but I did say, like when he said, you pissing me off, man, stop standing in front of him, spin out. That was smart right there. But don't sit here and tell that nigga he don't like being in the pocket with you, because we saw that turned out to be a lie. Because it got to the point where that was his preferred spot in the fight. That was his preferred spot in the fight. Now, granted, he did deserve a point for that low blow, because that was probably the most egregious low blow I've ever seen in my life, dog. He went under that nigga ball sack. It punched him in his ass, dog. What is you doing? But that's because his limbs are so fucking long that, it was the same thing with Alberto Puello. Their limbs are long. And when you got long limbs and you're trying to find a proper punch on a fucking smaller target, it's going to take that much. You're going to find yourself like, dang, man, I really didn't have to put all that extra shit into it, man. I could have tightened up on that uppercut just a little bit, man, to take some of the range away from my, the shot that I was throwing. But, yeah, man, that was an egregious low blow. Man. But what I saw from, Gary Antoine Russell was doing good work in there. When he would find himself in position to, shoe shine and everything, he would get answered back. I'm like, man, this is blowing me how this dude is actually beating you in the pocket like this. I don't know about Gary Antoine Russell, bro. I'm not really convinced like that. I think he's a reputable fighter in the division. Don't get it fucked up. I'm not saying that he's a trash fighter. I'm saying that when I look at Gary Antoine, I don't see a pound for pound fighter. But I do see a damn good fighter. And I just don't see how somebody with that bit of, I don't know what it is, but dudes with range kind of really, they trouble them. They trouble them. And you should be in those spots, those sweet spots where y'all in the phone booth. That should be where you're shining at. Man. It's just something like, he's posing and admiring his work. He won't spin out. And you got the advantage as the conventional fighter. You got the faster hands and you got the faster feet. And to my recollection, you have the more educated feet, where it ain't just about you getting in and getting out and being able to close distance, man. You should, know how to cut angles in the pocket, weave up under a hook and get up under him and spin out and force his back to the ropes and put him in position where he has to defend himself. I think he has the more educated feet. And you wasn't really doing none of that, man. You was kind of standing there admiring your work like Gary Russell Jr. was telling you, man. Stop standing in front of him. Stop standing in front of him, man. But, you was getting out, you was getting beaten in the clinch, dog. What the fuck is going on here? You losing to this tall ass nigga in the pocket like this? Bro, what is, man, but we got to give kudos to Andy Hiroka. Because I didn't know how that fight was going to go. I thought Gary Antoine, I made a video. I said Gary Antoine, I thought he was going to win the fight because he's more seasoned, but I just didn't expect him to fight like that and become the front foot fighter and start stepping to him and out slinging him in the clinch. That shit was That shit was dope to me, man. Like, he literally unlocked a new asset into his game. And that's going to be dangerous for a lot of these other fighters in the division, because you get a dude that range, and you know, like, I've never seen him fight like that before. So when you got somebody who's learning how to, you know, do, and not only he's learning this shit on the fly, and not only is he learning how to do it on the fly, he's actually having success with it. That's scary, bro. When you start unlocking new, you know, new skill sets or whatever in your repertoire, that's scary for whoever it is that you're dealing with, man. I was impressed with Andy Hiroka. I was overly impressed with Andy Hiroka for him to perform like that, man. And for them to get that man a 111, well, 116, 111, and a 117, 110 score, that shit is that's criminal. That's criminal, man. And this is the shit that, you know, this is, you know, just. This is the shit that happened. Like, this is the shit that Americans complain about when they go and they fight overseas. Or if they, you know, why I gotta go fight over there? Why I gotta go fight over? Because you're scared what these motherfuckers do to these foreigners over here, they're gonna do to you over there. Because there's no way in hell that nigga won that fight that wide. That should have been a draw, if anything. If anything. And you can give Andy Hiroka a round or two early on. You definitely can. And I think it's almost safe to say that he swept the like 7-12, with maybe giving Gary a round in the later rounds, maybe. But the way that he was getting muscled around and, you know, beat to the punch in the pocket, and, you know, doing the significant damage, the more damaging blows was coming from Andy. The more damaging blows was coming from Andy Hiroka. Gary Antoine Russell's lip was bleeding. He was like bleeding out of his mouth. And the body work, bro, Gary Antoine Russell wasn't punching like Andy was. They were shoe shines. Gatling gun punches, combination punches, scoring blows, eye-catching shots. But it wasn't nothing like, dog, like, he gonna feel that shit. He gonna feel that shit. Gary Antoine Russell kind of like backed up a little bit, was like, oh shit, like, yo, all right, cool, out here. Oh, fuck, where the fuck that shit come from? I'm not so sure that nigga should be a champion right now, bro. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the fight. But watching it last night live, I'm like, man, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I ain't got a clue. Because that shit was... $117, $110. You're telling me of as dominant as Andy Hiroka, as dominant as Andy Hiroka was in those last, from round 7 to 12, you found it in your heart to only get that man 3 rounds. You only saw 3 rounds where he was dominating. And like, because I mean, I'm more than likely y'all gonna say that, you know, the effective aggression from Gary Antoine Russell is what got him the first X amount of rounds early on in that fight, even though that can be argued. You're telling me that is from 7 to 12, you only saw 3 rounds in which Andy Hiroka won, or 4. You are out of your mind. You are legit out of your mind if you believe that, man. Ain't no way in hell you gonna sit here and tell me that Gary Antoine Russell won the fight that wide. No way. No fucking way. No fucking way. That dude was punching to the like doing like damaging blows to the body. 116, 110, 116, 111, 117, 110. I don't think so, dog. All 3 of them judges need to be they need to be brought up on, you know, up on the board or whatever, man, because that shit was agreed. Even with Shakur Stevenson got to talking that shit, man. I don't know what fight Shakur Stevenson was watching. Gary Antoine Russell did not dominate that fight. He did not dominate that fight, like, at all. Fuck no. Fuck no. No, that was not a dominating performance from Gary Antoine Russell. He lost a lot of that fight. I think a draw, just like the Nair Albright versus Frank Martin, that fight would have been the proper judgment on that fight, because there's no way you can sit here and tell me that Gary Antoine Russell dominated Andy Hiroka. No fucking way. No fucking way. From round 7 to 12, that was an Andy Hiroka fight. Fuck out of here, man. So I'm excited to see about what it is he does now. 140 is deep, bro. 140 is deep. Gary Antoine Russell, Andy Hiroka, Duarte, Hitchens, Keyshawn Davis, Subriel Matias, Dalton Smith, Shakur if he decides he wants to stay up there, Tio if he decides he wants to stay down there, Kenny Sims. It's just so many hitters at 140. Adam Azim. It's 140 is so deep, dude. It's such a lush division with talent, bro. It's such a lush division. I'm excited to see where they, with Jermaine Ortiz, just because you got knocked out, that don't mean you're not a player in the division. You a player in the division. I would like to see you in there with everybody I named. But that is one of the deeper divisions in the sport. That 54 deep is a motherfucker. 68 is deep. Heavyweight is deep. 26 is deep. 22, it's 22. 22 is, I think 22 is all right. Yeah, 22 is all right. I think 26 is deep. It's those, man, 35 is deep. 30 is deep. Listen. 140 is one of the divisions, man. That's one of the deeper divisions in the sport. So I would like to see him back in there in action immediately. There's no reason for you to sit out half of the year waiting for another fight. Turkey, bring his ass right back to Riyadh season. Bring his ass right back to Riyadh season, man. Because this is if you gonna get behind any division, this need to be one of the divisions you get behind. We need more super lightweight fights at Riyadh season, man. But that's how I'm feeling about it. Shame on them judges for that scorecard. That shit was some bullshit, man. Shout out to Andy Hiroka and congratulations to Gary Antoine Russell. I'll get back in with y'all later, yo. Doses.